We wake up in the morning, 갈기질했을 때 따라했다 gym, gotta show what we made of. Let's go. We pump it, how you feeling? The burn in our veins. We're dripping down, we're getting stronger every day. No pain, no gain. We push through the limits. No stopping us now. We're chasing our dreams. We're working out, no doubt. We're breaking bold. The muscles popping, looking harder than gold. Boys on fire, we're the kings of the gym. When we flex our biceps, all the ladies go up for them.
Hi, welcome. Let your imagination and wonder take flight. This is your host, AJ, and
I'm Amon, and this is
Weirdo.
Universe. So welcome to another great episode, and as you can hear based on the music, we're going to talk about a certain animation that's pretty much hit the books all around the world. It set new emotions and it's set kind of almost opened people's eyes in a way of just the style of music, and that is Korean. Korean K-pop music entirely, except for its own country, hasn't really been shown out in the world that I've known of. And when they made this film, they created it in a way to be like, hey, we're still here. Like they created an animation to tie in with Korean, with the tradition of their K-pop music, with actually the folklore and like the mythology of Korea. And we're going to we're going to talk about the K-pop Demon Hunters in case you guys, people are watching, we're going to see this later, get where I'm getting to about K-pop Demon Hunters. And we're going to break it down more of just the whole, how they kind of tie with mythology to the film entirely. And we're going to have maybe little theories here and there. So stay tuned. But let's get right into it. We'll give it right to you, AJ. You can start it off on just about the film.
All right. Sorry again. I'm still getting over a cold. So K-pop Demon Hunters. If you have watched it, then you don't really probably need to exactly listen to this introduction for it. But
If you're not,
if you haven't, yeah, go on.
I was like, sorry. If you're not, we can wait for 5 seconds. Let you watch the film. So hang on.
But let's see. Where do I begin? I just watched it earlier today, so my mind is completely fresh. I'm also, because of it, eating cup of noodles. So just because in the film you see them eat cup of noodles, so I'm into it. All right. Well, so K-pop Demon Hunters is a film that took about roughly 9 years to make because they needed to incorporate the cultural aspects into it and the cultural mythology as well into it. I will say for the film, they did such a good job at incorporating every detail into it. They went from the cultural aspects, the mythology, to even the littlest detail of the some of the fashion, even the jewelry in a sense is what you also kind of see a little bit a hint of. It's called the norage. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and who does know how to pronounce it correctly, let me know. But they give in so much detail for this movie that it's such a great time to have been able to see the film. I mean, truly, I mean, it's been a remarkable movie since what, earlier this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been about 4 or 5 months now, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, a couple months.
But yeah,
Um.
continue on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that. I mean, with it, it's sudden and like unleaked debut. I mean, for almost roughly, again, like I said, roughly 9 years. Um, not one thing about the film was leaked, and that's kind of what surprised me and intrigued because I was just like, wait a minute, I haven't seen or heard anything about this film before. What's it about? So that's what we're gonna dive into a little bit, and then we're gonna get into some of the other stuff. But again, to those who haven't seen the movie yet, I'd recommend you go watch it. Um, but basically, it starts off talking about a little bit of the history of this group called the Huntrix and a little bit of the innocence generational tree of hunters that's been around for, I'm not quite sure if they mentioned it. I might have forgotten about that, but for centuries basically, um who use their abilities and skills to protect this fictional sorry, this fictional barrier called the Hunmun. And the Hunmun is a sense a gateway of sorts to basically keep out demons. Um, again, it's in the name, so you do kind of get the sense of immediate notice. But what we also found out with the Hunmun is that it was specifically made for the film. It's not reference or it doesn't represent anything so far that we've found in the actual cultural like folklore um, or mythology. I mean, technically both are the same. I mean, it goes into both sections, but uh, the Hunmun is strictly created for the film, and this was something that really interested us was the fact that such a powerful and important aspect of the movie was made just for the film. For a while, we had also kind of just assumed that it was based off something that was from the culture itself, but by our surprise, we were wrong about that. So I'm kind of glad that we got a little more information on the Hunlund itself for the film. Um, our knowledge also for Korean culture has also slightly increased as well, which I'll slide over to Amon to kind of get into.
Yeah, so what they do great of what they show is what Koreans aspect of kind of like what hell looks like and what each like demonic presence like represents or how they are. So like one thing is uh Gwish Gwishin, I'm not entirely sure, but pretty much spirits. So for people that have seen the movie, if you guys want to know what those water demons were kind of like representing, it the the name to it's called Molguation, and they're like
Liking.
yeah,
We're still working on some of the pronunciation for some of these names, so forgive us.
but like in their aspect, it's kind of like a broken. It's like a ghost or a soul that has like very unresolved emotions, but they even feel like they're almost like you feel shameful, like a guilt so character is like you can't enter in the afterlife, so you have this sort of like this hidden emotion you like hide for so long. So, but you carry it as you go, and you kind of you it's in a way you feel kind of shameful. And then if you've seen the film as well, you might notice that sometimes the little demon, little goblins you see. from my research, that was actually kind of considered a traditional Grim Reaper. Like in the film, we'll break down the characters, but some of it, I don't know if you ever noticed that some of them had looked like the same like Reaper outfit and looked like a goblin sort of way. So that might have been their own persuasion of like, I guess what a Grim Reaper could look like, since it's like nor human nor this, but it's something. So it's like a creature in the depths, you could say. But as you, I might tag in something that AJ mentioned. So in case you didn't know that I've researched that this is the whole like demon hunter sort of forces thing is based on shamanism, which is it's a indigenous folk religion of Korea where they believe with music pretty much can despise the evil forces. So that's why if you've seen the film, the intro, why the narrator describes like how the Honmun was made was based on music. How like it's like a gentle net. Even the whole moon, we don't. It's no, as AJ mentioned, it's not like a real thing. But for me, it shows in a way. It's kind of like a magical net that grabs the world. It's a barrier, but almost like a net. And for demons, when they see it, it's something they can't pass through. It's just if they try to, it just tightens its hold. And the only way to break it is if you kind of like trick the maker, I guess you could say. You trick the 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 demon hunters in the years, which we'll explain further on like how to not convince them, but just weaken them in a way so the whole net kind of loosen its hold and it'd be an easier barrier for them to go through into from their spiritual world to the real world. But well, and I kind of probably went right into it, but let's go to the film entirely. So what I thought was great is they didn't want to reveal too much. The movie's an hour and a half, but by the time you watch it, it probably took you 30 minutes, maybe an hour. But
Yeah, it definitely passes time by pretty quick.
like when we first heard it, and yes, what we're about to compare is one that's like not real life, but like what's the word? Not real life. Shoot. Like it's a musical, but um, I shoot. But the film we thought from animations to this was High School Musical, because the way High School Musical
Yeah.
was on, even though that wasn't really an animation, it was just more on stage work. But since we knew, just for us, for the Gen Z people, if you've seen High School Musical, you know the whole story and how they created that film that went on for a few years. And
Oh, don't
series.
forget about the yeah, I was just gonna say don't forget about the recent series that they've made.
There's the recent series, but I just know from me the originals. And
Yeah.
it's just because, like, I guess you could say the way they made it is kind of like that, but in reality, it's just we never thought for High School Musical for us as for the people in the USA, we see that, and there's a lot of people were fans of it. And then you get this K-pop, and it's like, oh, these two almost not like connect, but it's like for us, it's like it's up there, you know, because Demon Hunters went on. I mean, like High School Musical went on for so long, and you know when we see other types of musicals, for us, just for AJ and I, just we think. Um, High School Musical's like up there, as I mentioned.
Yeah, that was our first thought, was High School Musical. We definitely had agreed on that. It's almost hard to kind of surpass that franchise just because it's been around for so long and it's still pretty well known. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how K-pop Demon Hunters go with its
K-pop,
time as it
Netflix,
settles.
because Netflix wants to try to do a live action sort of version of it. So down the line,
That would be kind of interesting to see.
that'd be interesting
I
to
would
see.
love I would love to see that adaptation. I'm not gonna lie.
But let's get right to the little animation film. In reality, Netflix kind of take it as a kids movie because just the way it's funny. There's a lot of like funny animation, makes the kids laugh.
Yeah.
But if you see it as an adult or our age perspective, there's more to it.
Yeah,
Like
there's
not the scenes, but there's the music aspect, and that where it kinda,
yeah, there's definitely a lot of deeper connections and meanings regarding the music, the some of the scenes. The movie entirely is also pretty inspirational in some format. When you see it, and I mean, you'll notice the moments almost like immediately. So I'm hoping that you guys could check it out at some point and send in your views on our channel, or even in our on our Instagram account when you get the chance. So I mean, we'd love to kind of discuss what your guys' take on the movie would be as well. So um continue on.
questions down. But so let's get right into it. It starts with these three main characters: Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Zoe's like the kid of the family, you could say. And there's some interesting information we'll tell you that we've discovered about her, and a lot of theories. I mean, we're not the only ones. We're kind of behind with all this like theorizing, but it's glad to hopefully share this to many for people that have not known about. But who knows? But Mira, uh, Zoe, Mira, and Rumi, and as the story goes, before they were born, in like we could say maybe 1500, 1600 in Asia or Korean times, where there's been this not trend, but there's been this demonic force that is behind the king Guima. And for Guima, the mystery is unknown of if he was a human that became a creature, or we don't entirely know his actual entire story, but he's been around a long time. And his hatred is with humans, but really he's like almost trying to. We feel like he's almost trying to escape from a prison in a way, which is the under. He is like the king of hell in this case, but as it goes on, he's been always attacking the humans and devour souls to kind of grow his army. And it kept going on for a while. But in this moment, there was these like three, you could say warriors, but this is where the like shamanism comes from. One has a bow, one has daggers, another has a like a mage magic wand or staff, you could say. I'm not entirely sure, but they use their vocals, and it's just the way they sound is like something from the heavens in a way, like guardian angels coming down, and they're slaying demons. And as they got rid of everyone, they what's a fascinating scene is that one of them goes to this girl, and that's like she's so brightened up, she like in a way like takes a little part of her soul and kind of wields it, and then it grows into with their songs, but it grows into this like shield, or as I mentioned, like a net. And as it goes across the world, not just in Korea, but it just wraps around the world entirely, and it's kind of succumbs the demons. I don't know if it's the right word for it, but it kind of just pushes them back in a way, and they can't go through. So as time went on, they passed away. Who knows, from uncertainty? From uncertainty. But assuming if they were great teachers, they passed it on to each generation. So it goes from that time to like maybe we go to like the 40s to then like the 80s or 70s to then the 90s, and then we enter today's year. And the last group before it came to the Huntrix was the Sunshine Sisters, and there's
Sunlight Sisters.
Sunlight Sisters, and there's a complete mystery between with the three. We have one character named Selena, who's like the head singer, and then AJ can chime in here. We have Rumi's mom, which her name is.
Yeah, that's also funny with Rumi's mother's name is because it's sort of similar to Rumi's name. So the mother's name is Ryu Mi Young. I could be slightly butchering it, so again, forgive me. But that's Rumi's mother's name, and then we don't entirely know who the third member is. They haven't really given her a name quite yet, if I'm
Yeah,
not,
but
if
it's a
I'm
mystery.
not mistaken.
There's, the way they made this film, you can tell they kind of like, it's not like it's a fast. It's just almost like a rough draft, but enough to like, all right, let's present this, and then we'll connect the pieces. But they just want to show like, for just create for K-pop entirely, for the music, it's just like show the K-pop to the world. And it, as when this film came out, even other like Korean bands use it, but it's like just for us and from Europe.
Yeah, they also brought in a number of well, at least they referenced a number of actual K-pop bands for that have been around for a few years now, such as like Blackpink. I think the pronunciation for this one is aespa, I think. And then there's Twice and some other ones that they mentioned or nod to in the film, which is it's pretty nice, especially since they have one of them actually sing one of the songs near the end of the film through the credits, which is if I'm not mistaken, that is the K-pop band Twice. They did very well with their version of the song. I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of like that one. Go on though. Sorry, I got a little carried away there.
It's all good. So then we can go to this year's time. We get the Hunter. So we don't know the mystery, but the sisters, they separate. But one of them, being Rumi's mom, she dies for unknown reasons. But we'll reveal
It does say that she does pass away a little shortly after giving birth to Rumi. A lot of people speculated that it was due to childbirth, perhaps. A lot of reasons was because of Rumi's certain condition that we will get into in a few minutes, potentially in a minute. We have came up with the idea that maybe it might have been something else, and it was more of like a motherly instinct to try and protect Rumi as a baby. But again, this is all like speculations and theories and whatnot like that. So it's really at the moment unconfirmed exactly what her death was entirely. So who knows? Maybe some of the other stuff that they plan on coming out with soon, we'll kind of dive into that and answer that question. But I'm gonna send it back to Amon and let him finish up his thought.
No, I'm just breaking down. But we go to now the Huntrix. So we don't know how we don't know how they reunited, but they Celine recruited in a way with Rumi and like recruited, but we don't know the whole story of how they what was their background and all that. But that might be revealed for something that's coming up soon. But we go to now, so it's been like a few months, and so the belief is this whole moon. They think by turning to the specific color golden, it's like almost like a lock. It will lock, and the Guima knows too. Is like if this turns gold, it's like we can't go in, we can't enter that world anymore. We're stuck down here forever for eternity. And so that was the belief. So the Huntrix, they're getting almost to that point. So there's this song called "How It's Done," and it's pretty much in a way of like an intro. It could be intro. It could be intro of like Sony, or saying like, "Hey, we're back," or but pretty much it might be more of a Korean of K-pop of like, let me show you how it's done, like telling like all the genres, like this is how we do our music, and this is this whole
Can I
action.
can I add something a little funny to that just real quick? A lot of people have just jokingly spreaded this sort of meme in a sense. Um but they've jokingly called the song "How It's Done" from this film as a sign of Sony's successions in their past um projects or stuff that they have helped in with, um as kind of like a big fuck you to Disney in a sense. Pardon my language for that, but I mean it is in a sense like if you really like listen to the songs a little bit and watch the movie, you do kind of get the sense of like this is a lot better than what some of the stuff that Disney has put out in the last like few years. And it's just like a huge it's gotten a lot of people to be just like straight up, this is definitely a big like fuck you from Sony to straight to Disney. And the song "How It's Done" is definitely like a way of like, I guess for Sony is a little egotistical a little bit, I feel like in some form, just because it does give that vibe of just it being like, yeah, Disney, this is how you do a movie. This is how you do like a musical type number culturally, and here's how it goes. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna pass it back to Armand.
it's all right for you to chime in. So they do this epic music, and Rumi has her moments. She goes to a vocal point that's like beyond, and there's a lot of reactions to it. But after that whole music, they're like, all right, time to take a break. And for Rumi, while she was doing the song, she saw the brink of golden, like just glimpsing a little bit. And so there's like no funny scene of like Zoe's like, hey, let's watch like a boring video about turtles. And she's like, and Mira, she's kind of like a punk style, but she's punk style sort of character, but she's kind of like not like hiding, but she's like very I guess insecure. I don't know.
I'd say she has. This is also kind of referencing a little later on in the film because they do kind of mention this, but Rumi, Mira, like Rumi, has a lot of walls she has up. So I mean, for her, she was considered the problem child of her family, and in a sense, kind of the group, which is why she has such a like punk rock, metal, um, rocker type aesthetic to her characters because she was always this like rebellious child. And I think that's also why she has the like pink hair because it resembles how she's reflected by a lot of people. And it's I think, a good way and a good sense for her to kind of show that she's an outcast, but she's proud of that in a way, but still enough where it's like, okay, well, I do have my walls and I do feel insecure about myself at times, but I'm still proud to be out there doing what I like, kind of thing.
So they're all relaxing. I'm like they have like a whole play of like 'cause they've been singing so long, so it's for singers they need their calories. And as Sarumi, she's like already dressed up, and she uploaded a song they already made. It was called Golden, because for her she felt like, oh, if I make a song that's literally about what we're trying to do, it can work. So she uploads it, and she does this like smile. She does this like sort of grin, like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they're like, "Oh, come on, we just sat down." And it's like, "Wait a minute, don't tell me you're just ready to go right to it." And I'm trying to find a funny sound we have, but so it's like, oh, then it's like as soon as they upload it, everyone's watching it's live, and then this person comes in, which is their agent named Bobby, and Bobby's voice is a well known voice that was in The Hangover and probably other films, but if you watch The Hangover, he was in.
He's also a very, very well known comedian, which is why he's been in so many different projects. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple watches at first to realize who it was. Um, but yeah, go on.
So we fast forward a little bit. So they explained to somehow like, oh, Golden's about us, like who, like what we went through our lives and all that. But in the song, when they practiced a little bit, and for some reason, as they practice, like her vocals kind of like when to a point, she gets to a point where her vocals kind of die out. Like she can't get to a certain vocal where she gets to. That's a bit mysterious. And as it goes on, she she has like her own room to herself, and she kind of looked at her neck or her voice, and there's this like certain like purple scar, or a tattoo, but it's like a scar that's like almost like a hand reaching to her throat.
Yeah,
And
those just to kind of pitch in a little bit, those for them are called patterns, and that's how the hunters in this film kind of, in a sense, recognize demons in a way, because this is like a demonic marking for them. And I'll let Amon finish up because I'm pretty sure this is where he's about to go to, and I'm not going to say it.
well, I don't know if I might have mixed the two scenes up, but she runs by discovering that she runs away, and we get this. You could say this baby lullaby, and it's probably the most underrated thing of probably the whole film. And it's
Oh,
a flashback.
such a good one.
It's a flashback to Rumi when she was a little girl, singing a vocal. I mean, if you know it, you know it. But she sings a vocal.
I would say it, but copyright reasons, I don't want to get us in trouble. So,
But she sings this sort of lullaby, and they play the little like little music that if you know, you know. But they played the little music with it, and then we get a new character. Well, not a new character, but we get the character Celine. And sorry, the AJ can continue.
I was just like, wait, that was that from you? Where do you want me to continue from? You just mentioned Celine.
So then, like after the lullaby, we get Celine and just what she told her.
Yes. So Celine for Rumi is, after losing her mother, Celine has basically kind of adopted Rumi in a sense as her own, and she has trained her and the other two, both Mira and Zoe, as the next generational hunters. And stop it. Sorry, dogs on Zoomies right now. um, where was I? Right, adopted daughter in a sense. Celine has been basically. Hi, you better settle down. Stop it.
So basically, Celine
Apologies.
being the adoptive, it's all right. Celine, so they adopted Rumi after the death of the mom, and she, being like a protective aunt, she like trying to like teach her like, well, Rumi, she like says about like, patterns are bad, and she was saying like, yes, but not to you, like not you though, like you don't, you just have to like hide them, so you don't have to be afraid, or something within those words, not entirely, but so while having that flashback, we go up to the present time, and they all meet up having some late dinner, and Rumi like apologizing, but Mira's like, no worries about it. We're so popular now that we can pretty much do it whenever. People already knows us enough that we'll be back. And so they take a break, and then we go to, now we're flash forward a little bit to get to some new characters. So Guima, knowing about the Golden Whole Moon, not afraid, but he's just like, you guys, his army's like, you guys are useless. And then we get a present voice of a guy named Genu. And Genu, who's like kind of like not the very first Grim Reaper in this case, but he's one of the Reapers. And he has an idea. He plays a song to kind of like mock him, but in a way of just being funny. And he's like, "Oh, I have an idea." Like there's a certain line. There's a line in the movie that was, of course, when people hear this, they're like, "What the?" And the way Guimo was saying, like a demon boy band. So like everyone was laughing with that, but uh, Genu, being has abilities in a way. He like snapped his fingers, and it kind of reveals like the beauty. So like kind of portraying hiding the colors, but being like a human in a way. And people were like, okay, now that could work. So fast forward a
This
little.
is also actually never mind. That would be kind of skipping forward a bit too much.
Yeah, fast forward a little bit. We go back to Rumi, Zoe, and Mira. Well, for Zoe, she has so many ways. Like, oh, I know how to help you out. So they go to this doctor, and realizing this doctor is pretty much a scam. Okay? But not for how he treats. It's just more of like, oh, here, buy this, you'll be fine. But he kind of takes it more of a spiritual way of healing, because knowing that. Well, for Mira, she has too many walls. For Zoe, she's kind of a bit not soft, but she's so open that you can read.
So okay, let me pitch in with this one. Rumi has too many walls, which she also denies too. Mira pitches in and it's just like, no, he's kind of spot on with that. Zoe gets kind of looked at, and the doctor there says that she's too eager to please, but also, I think he talks about a little too held back. A little. I'm not quite sure. I might have to rewatch it and just to kind of double check. But he definitely tells her that she's a bit too eager to please. And then for Mira, he doesn't really get anything out of it because she just kind of in a sense jump scares him a little bit, and he just kind of backs off that way. But yeah, that's basically the scene for that.
Yeah. So they leave with the medicine, and reason for air quotes, which I lie. But they go out and they see a group of people, and they thought, oh, fans. So they try to hide, and then we get the enemy, you could say, of this is the team called Soldier Boys. And what's funny about Soldier Boys, their reference is there's a certain
Messengers of Death.
yeah, Messengers of Death. So you kind of get the whole Grim Reaper sort of vibe to them. So they show these characters. We have the one on the left, far left, with the blue hair, named Baby Saja. So we don't know that's his actual name, but that's what he goes by because the way he dressed and the way he acts a little bit. Then we get Mystery, which is like the wild card of this whole film, but he kind of hides his eyes, but long
In a
hair.
sense,
Eyes.
mystery is literally a mystery
And then
for the most part.
in the middle, then we get Romance. We'll kind of peculate or prexulate, I don't know what's the word, but he shows more of his beauty. And then
Yeah.
Abby, no, not from Last of Us 2 Abby, but Abby.
We wish.
A male character named Abby, and his way of design is more of like a
muscular, bulky.
Kind of like the tank.
Basically, in a sense, for some specific idealistic views in a person is actually, I don't even know if I want to even go with that term. I'm gonna backtrack on that a little bit.
So for Zoe and Mira, there's a certain scene, and Mira and Zoe are just like jaw dropping. But like Rumi, she's like okay, but then she has this moment, and then we get the character Genu, who's like in the background. It's kind of it's crazy how they well put him in the back. And there's like a certain kind of love song going through, and as they slowly walk past them, there's just this whole reaction of just Rumi, just almost jaw dropping, kind of drops her jaw a little bit, but her eyes kind of expand a little bit of just seeing him, and she almost in a way starts to feel in love, and she they bump, she falls, and as thinking that Genu is kind of like a mature, being like a mature self and helping out.
It was very much a K-drama moment.
Yeah,
if you've watched a lot of K-dramas, it's one of those.
And apparently he just does a sway, so I don't know. But so he just acts a little mean, or just be like, watch yourself, and it's just like, hey, watch yourself, Rumi just try to think of something to say back. Fast forward a little bit, there's a song called Soda Pop, and there's a lot of mystery to the song because the lyrics as it's portrayed, and the way they use their emotions, we discover a little more that it's pretty much not trancing people, but in a way,
I mean, a little bit. It was kind of a little bit.
It's about desires, but the lyrics is more describing that as Soldier Boys being the messenger of death, they used a summer sort of song. That's why we kind of saw those colors of pink and purple a little bit as a way to lure fans, and it worked. Everyone everyone that was in the area were already starting to
Fangirling, or
fangirling, but
however you want to.
feeling the temptation.
Yeah, however you want to put it.
But
They were doing that.
a little more into it. A lot of people have been breaking it down, and someone might have theorized, or maybe could be the answer, that in a way it's CPR, because the way as the doctor kind of describes of like helping Rumi out with the emotions. Um, so it's like in a way of like showing their love, but it's like kind of like we can heal you. So we're going to skip a little bit more now. Try to break this down. Try to sum this up as best we can. I mean, hour and a half. It's a lot. It's a short film when you watch it, but when you try to break it down, it does take a bit. But we're going to try to speed.
I mean, it's gonna definitely take a bit because of how much detail they put into this film. I mean, it is a lot. Going from the cultural references, the mythology, or the mythological aspect of it. I mean, they brought in the whole 9 yards basically for this film. It's a lot of detail to go through.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think what's a good segment to maybe. This is where the kind of like the gets really intriguing type scene. So, oh, AJ, what do you think? Sorry, trying to think what scenes we could maybe try to describe a bit more, at least where it kind of like it gets a little climax.
Well, okay. I want to go into a little bit of the section between Celine and Rumi,
So yeah, let's.
and a lot of bit with Rumi's secret, in a sense. That's definitely a segment that I want to go over for sure.
Yeah, like so. Fast forward a little bit of some. There's certain scenes where they thought if we write a song so negative that like we can put down the demons, but realizing when they did that, it actually for Rumi, the patterns away. It's actually kind of like growing slowly, kind of like a vine, like it's
Yeah.
trying to wrap around herself in a way, spiritually, as and so on. But so Rumi goes to Celine just being because she was with her for so long. And this scene gets pretty crazy. So, but before that,
We're talking about the like near the end of film, right?
we're
That
sorry,
scene.
we're kind of skipping a lot, but just to sum up beforehand, there was a song. There was a song that was a bit romantic, of a song called "Free," which is pretty much a way of like expressing that like even though knowing about your shame, there's always a way to like find someone you care for a lot and help them guide you through your troubles, pretty much. And
Which, in
that's
a reference or relation to, is kind of how Amon has done for me quite a lot, if I may say. He's been I've been basically Rumi, and he's been basically my Genu. He's been helping me out like that.
and as what's that? But then there was the like pretty much Genu backstabbing a little bit on Rumi, not helping, kind of forgets the deal because he needs to deal with Guima. That's a bit that kind of like electrified in a way enough to realizing he has to do what he has to do. And
Yeah.
so Rumi at this point, seeing who she is, the demon side of her kind of awakes, and we don't know the whole story. Well, there's a big reveal, which won't spill. But
Well, it's also very interesting because Rumi's demonic heritage is so unnatural and, in a sense, unique to her own character, which is why the movie is so in a sense, it's so focused on Rumi. And again, like Amon said, we'll dive in more into more of that in a little bit probably. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to jump in for a quick second.
But yeah, so like Rumi now is at a point where there's like there's a demonic presence in her that if she feels accepting the shame she has enough, it slowly kind of creeps out. Her hand starts to change like a claw, and her eye, like you'll see the pattern almost just trying to make a mask of the demon. And she goes to Celine, and being with her for so long, she's like a family member. But this is where it gets really interesting. She cries for help, but for Celine, she was so focused on trying to like seal the whole moon and never think about it again. But she had a blind eye of seeing Rumi, of knowing her secret, so the secret was out pretty much. And she pleads, and as a family member or as an aunt, no, she runs to her and she's just like, well, I guess you could say apologizing, but she tried to be like, oh, it's okay, we can fix it, Like she's panicking a little bit, but she just thinking like, just do it, keep doing what you're doing, it'll be fine, But but the room is like, no, can you see what I have become? And she's saying like, look at me, like look of who I am. But for it's a mystery in a way. But Celine kind of like she's not sure because she probably never seen. I mean, it's been so long, but she never really seen the full picture of what it looks like. And she kind of like not hides, but she just kind of like she's trying to be defensive, but she doesn't know she's gonna get slashed by Rumi's sword. She's just trying to brace. But Rumi tells her that like this whole moon that's been going on for so long, and I'm supposed to like protect it, knowing that it's already being destroyed, because she doesn't know why she is this still in a way, but seeing it, she doesn't like it, and Rumi, she takes the sword. Well, actually, I forgot. I missed a whole little part at the beginning. That when Rumi was pleading, she literally kind of tell Celine, "Kill me." You're a hunter. I'm a demon now. Kill me. And
She doesn't necessarily actually use this phrasing entirely, but she does kind of initially hint at it for the most part. I mean,
yeah, like because if in a way it helps because for all of us, even for us humans, people carry some secret or guilt or shame so deeply, it gets to it's like almost like mental awareness. It gets to a certain point where you feel like if you can end your life, you're free. But if you're religion, like then you can go this whole religion because it's like really if you do that, yes, it's the end in the real world, but where would your soul go? But that's a whole different thing. But whole different thing. But it's kind of like
I mean, you could also argue that in some cultural stuff, it could be a little different. We don't know how a lot of how the soul itself works in every culture. We know that in specific cultures or religions that we know that it works this way, and for others it could work in a sense of a difference. So I mean, we don't know the entire like aspect of like how it would have played out if this was the route that the creators wanted to go with. But
yeah, it's probably not that, but it's just for Rumi, she's kind of was going to that point, like, I see who I become. I'm a demon, you're a hunter, eliminate me. And and then Celine being on and seeing who she like being the little, I guess you could say granddaughter, or just I don't know, what family tree would that be? But seeing her, knowing her as being a little girl, she doesn't do it. But then back to where I was saying about she thought she was going to pretty much eliminate her, and she didn't. She was just saying about the home moon, and for her, she's kind of quite powerful enough. She can teleport. So
Yeah, I mean, even though she was recently getting into her more demonic heritage and her demonic powers, she was powerful enough to immediately start teleporting places. So I mean, that says a lot for Rumi as a character. I mean, we don't know the full extent of like her heritage exactly. We don't know who her father is. It is said that her father was a demon. We don't know exactly what kind or who. Me and Amon have theorized that it might be somebody a bit more powerful than Guima, potentially.
a lot of theories.
A lot of the big fan theory is that Guima himself is Rumi's father. But
that theory kind of died out.
Yeah, at least for us. At least for us. For me specifically, it was because of the fact that, I mean, in earlier stages of the film, we do see when they kind of do a little bit of the the generation bit, we do see Quima as the same form as he is in the current time frame or era. So it's really hard to exactly say who Rumi's father is at this point. It's definitely a bigger mystery than what Mystery himself looks like without his hair covering his face. Um, just as a funny comparison, but
but for Celine, the way she reacts, she falls to her knees, and we don't know what happened after that. Might be a little deleted scene that they made, or not entirely. We were theorizing. I kind of thought like if she actually maybe knows something, she knew it, she's never seen it. But of course, it might be just as a reaction of like, yeah, you almost died. So, but there's actually a deleted scene that they released. So really, the scene skips into. So Soulja Boys is doing like a song that's like a worship so grand that it will like poison everyone's minds to walk through like having, I guess you can say faith, but like walking through and just kind of like, okay, I'll join you. It's like, sure, why not, type thing. But there's a deleted scene or deleted. It was anime. It wasn't just anime, but it was written down. They created it, but they decided not to animate it because they wanted to expand this.
it was a cutout scene, if I'm not mistaken. You were trying to get to.
Yeah, it's like a deleted cutout scene. Like it was already prepped, but maybe they decided they don't want to add it yet because maybe just a little, they want to like wait for later. But since it was out there, people saw it. For Rumi, she goes to since the aunt wasn't helping. You go to the one person that you know so well since you were born. You were, she, she, your mom, the ones people you know. So the one person that you know since you were before you were even born, pretty much. And
also, before you continue, just to clarify, yes, we did also mention that Rumi's mother was dead.
Yeah.
So the scene is basically Rumi goes to the grave where her mother is buried, but I just wanted to clarify that up so it wasn't confusing anybody.
But she goes to the one person she knows, and it was a very interesting scene. Like you can break it down in many ways. When you first see it, it's like it's almost. I guess now I'm thinking of it now, it's almost as if the demon self of Rumi was the demon self of Rumi is trying to like stop her in a way. She's sent like the demon self is trying to stop her. So that's why you get these whole like not veins, but you get these vines kind of like trying to like cage or like handcuff. But knowing Rumi, she kind of like breaks out of it. But she goes to the grave, and as I guess as a spiritual way, she gets to see like a glimpse of what the dad could look like, which looks like a reaper, and the mom. But then you can see that the dad kind of gave him a certain flower, but that flower I don't think we put much research into it, but the flower actually represents something. And
I don't think we got into that bit of research quite yet.
Yeah, but I think there's a certain meaning to it. But in a way, it was almost like you could say a new power. She takes it in a way. It controlled the patterns in a way of like, oh, instead of trying to accept the shame, or instead of trying to like hide it so much, just accept it because you're human. It's all right. So after Soldier Boys was in the near end of pretty much convincing everyone to join us.
I also found out that the song that Soldier Boys had used was also a summoning spell.
Oh, okay.
I found that out today after I had watched the movie and I was doing some of my own research, and it said that it was a demon summoning spell. So that's why, like, as they were singing, Guima was forming and kind of like growing. It was because they were summoning him, which I thought was such an interesting way of doing that.
Another thing that I saw that I was a concept art, but maybe they actually had a different. You were saying about summoning, right? Instead of Guima showing himself as like a fiery monster, they actually were thinking like if it was a portal opening, and you see the bee Guima as a beast pulling himself out as the homeowner was weak, and it's this like huge scene. But I guess it was just made animation for too much work, so they just try to keep it a little small. But anyway, the Idol song, you watch it, it's definitely almost like soda pop. The way the lyrics and the way they present it and the way they use it, it's like it's a catchy song, you could say. But then we get to the song, what it sounds like, and pretty much is Rumi saving Mira and Zoe, but then trying to save the home moon. So like she comes out and no way tricks Guima to be like, since the spell's working as he grows stronger, Rumi being like the soul singer, she's like damaged, but she tricks her, and almost enough that even Guima doesn't realize he was kind of revealing his secrets. And so then she reveals, she's like, okay, if you're like, okay, then let me just make a new one, a new Honmu. And this time, as the song called What It Sounds Like, I will make a song that actually will help everyone to.
Song, in my opinion, out of the film. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, that is the best song.
We'll talk about that a little later, but about the music. But it's a song about, instead of being afraid, accept it and just, almost be free. And as it goes on, Grima, knowing that what's bad happened, he sent his forces and, didn't work. So the Soldier Boys go out there, but not except for Genu. And we've came to realize that if you think of it, Genu's the center point. He's like, if you really look at it, he's like right in the center between the bottom like chin of Guima to his head or his eyes, like right up the middle. She's in the center point, and I think we discovered this, but I don't know if people did, but it was pretty much like a bridge. She's not going there to sound like, oh, stop Guima, which is the idea. But she thought, wait, what if I can save one more soul to then defeat him, then defeat Guima? Just like one more, like, if I can save someone before they get trapped to the underworld.
Can I say something to back this up a little bit?
Yeah.
So my theory on this is the fact that Rumi and Jinu's relationship throughout the film starts off very bumpy. But as time progressed, they really started getting a lot closer together. And granted, it wasn't your like average or normal rom-com type relationship. You don't actually get to really see them kind of fall in love and kind of have a happy ending entirely. But what's interesting about the idea of this is that instead of Rumi going to fight Guima and rather go to save Jinu, is that in one part of the film, Jinu mentions that he couldn't hear Guima's voice anymore after they had their duet free. And then a little after that, they talk about how this is a little after Rumi was kind of exposed to the public and her friends. And the same moment Jinu had said he couldn't hear Guima, he gets transported to Guima literally right after Rumi leaves. And Guima tells Jinu such an important factor that happens later on. It literally foreshadows what he does towards near the end of the film. And it's in the moment after Rumi gets exposed to everybody about her true nature, her true heritage in a sense. And in this moment, Jinu actually tells Rumi the truth of what happened, what he did to his mother and his sister. Also, before I continue on with this idea, I found out that it sounds like the sister is calling Jinu Papa in his flashback. So it made me really think if this wasn't really his mother and sister,
or maybe no. I mean that could be.
But I could swear that he does say that it was his mother and sister.
Korean name of saying brother. Like how
we'd have to get in some research into that for sure.
It could be like Japanese anime when they.
I had to play it back a little bit. I was just like, wait a minute, did his sister call him Papa? And I was just like, okay, wait, then would this mean that it's his wife and his child then? Because I mean, it was a very odd moment for me to like hear that, because it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
We'll do some research into like what certain family members are called in Korean later on. But going back to the idea and the theory is that because Rumi had told Jinu that he had helped her so much with recovering her voice, her confidence in a sense, even that she felt less shameful for who she was and what she was. You get Jinu in a sense doing that exact same thing after the betrayal. He tells her the truth, the full truth about what he did, what got him to become a demon in the first place, to why he heard Guima for the first time even. And it was such an impactful moment to realize was that the reason why Jinu was always in the center, and you could argue that it's because both Jinu and Rumi are like the leaders of the group, right? For obvious reasons. But it's also because I feel like the reason why Rumi was going towards Jinu in the like final act of the film was actually because of the fact that they had the most relatable history. Granted, Rumi didn't really get to have the time to really know her parents for herself exactly. But Jinu did kind of know his mother enough for some time, and his sister, but it was their actions potentially that caused them to, in a sense, lose them. So, in a matter of speaking, they both have similar outcomes for why they have, in a sense, these patterns, this reason of being half demon and, well, a demon. And I think it's so important for the sense of this final moment is that they both have helped each other get out of their shame. They have both helped each other really kind of look at the beauty within this broken mirror that they've had to continuously look at themselves in, and finally get the chance to really be able to look at themselves as a whole instead of this like empty shell, or feeling like something is missing inside them. So I mean, um getting this final act and this incredible emotional scene, I'll let Amon get into, is it definitely has such a deeper meaning with these two characters. I'm gonna hand it back to you, Amon.
So yeah, like as AJ well put of those inputs, of just that. Sorry we skipped that entirely. Just thought for the viewers you should watch it. But as it goes on, pretty much at the end, she gets so close, like not hands reach, but at least another 10 or so.
Like a couple, like 6 feet or so, I'd say.
And Guima, being as wrathful as he is, and as wrathful as he is, he does this line saying, "Your voices, your songs cannot defeat me," because since I'm out, I'm not going back. Pretty much saying, and he does this like kind of like a dragon's breath, and it's kind of like, I guess you could say, shame, kind of like trying to like in his way, like pushing him back, but maybe in a way, could perhaps that fire breathing could does a little bit more than that. But so this Rumi blocks with the sword. And the sword, it's just I guess how special it is. It's like a shield of like the ancestors, just a mini shield of blocking this fire. And as AJ well put, it's like with the freeze song and what in that scene entirely, Genu goes in and out. Like that demon self is like just seeing, since she's the one that pretty much saved him, he's doing the same. So he whoops through. We don't know how quick, but he whoops through and blocks the flame. And since the reason he can, at least for temporary, is since he's like technically dead, it's like he can take the heat pretty much. But since he's taking in human form, and we discovered that sure the whole scene entirely could have went on for an extra 5 or 10 more minutes, but they want to keep it quick. And Genu was saying, because Rumi seeing what he's doing, he's like, wait, I'm trying to do this for you, but Genu's like, nah, you've done enough. Let me help you out. And here, you saved me, so let me give into you. But since he's about to be human, and human flames don't go well, he kind of like in a way burns to ash.
Yeah.
To it, but
to add on a little bit to this is that what was so emotional about this scene was also that for what Rumi had did for Genu was that also he had got his soul back after being technically dead and a demon for like 400 years. But again, this is also what makes Rumi so special and unique in her situation, being born half human and half demon.
I actually want to get
being the hunter.
The part that people are discovering, which actually I didn't know about. So, So Gino sacrifices his souls, kind of upgrade the sword temporarily. Gino's like a samurai strike, or like kind of like kicking sand off the sword, and this blade splits Guima in half, but not like to be gone, but at least enough to see an opening. And they do the song, and the crowd sings with it. And as they go up, people are discovering this. There's actually 4 singers in it. Who's the 4th? Who's the 4th? Do you know?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah. Who do you think the 4th is? There's 4 singers.
Genu.
Yes. So people are discovering if you slow down the scene when they're about to like cast the net, pretty much, Genu is actually being the back vocals when they're singing it. You don't hear it because they blasted the main vocals enough, but that's like the more of the point. But if you slow it down enough and you hear it, it's actually Genu singing the song, but like kind of another other words to it as it's being cast. So in a way, Genu is alive in the spiritual matter, and hopefully in the sequels, hopefully in the sequels it will reveal more. But yeah, so that pretty much. Well, let's no. All right. So let's go on a little quick theory run. So we had a few theories, and now I'm actually kind of wondering of another thing. What if there's a message of think of like of being a leader, but in this case, being a main singer is actually carrying. It's in a way they're carrying guilt not just for themselves, but for everyone else. I thought, like, if you think of it, if every traditional demon hunter that's been doing it for years, what if it's always the main? You always, if you're the enemy, you attack the main singer, because if you weaken them, everyone falls. So I wondered, actually, maybe that could be a thought of why this home moon just never turned golden, because what if as time goes on something happened? Because Celine, I guess for in this case, since Celine and Rumi's mom probably had some dispute of her romance in this case, since being demon. But it's like, what if every other culture, what was probably their issue that was so damaging that every band disbanded each other, because it's about the main singer? Because if during the patterns, if you look at it, the way they're dressed, there's actually showing, like, in a way of showing it, but it's not like on their like skin, but it's actually portraying on like who maybe is actually not being a demon hunter, just more being a demon. And maybe that could be like how it's been, why this song, because when people are like, wait, when you listen to this song, it's so beautiful, so why is it not like, why they're trying so hard to try to seal this net, this spiritual net, if they could have done it so long ago?
I also came to a conclusion regarding Rumi's voice, is that it's both, it could be both affected in both a positive way and a negative way. The positive way is in the song How It's Done. When you really get to like near the end of the song, where Rumi hits that high note, I've come to the conclusion that I think her voice is also, in a sense, like affected by her demonic heritage. And I've come to this conclusion because of the fact that when you also hear Genu sing, you could hear that he could hit some of those like almost impossible notes, even in like a normal like setting, like a normal tone. But with Rumi, you get like some of the songs where she's hitting like these impossible notes. And I mean, I've watched so many people kind of like try and do covers of this song, of these songs and whatnot, and they can almost never fully match the high note that Rumi hits, and I think it's so intriguing because it really shows that it has an interesting effect with, or a connection with, her demonic heritage.
And I would do like one more theory we kind of thought of, or at least we're thinking right now, is I guess we could go with Celine, because Celine's a bit of a mysterious character. We probably know that the reason they broke was because the dispute between Celine, and Rumi's mom, and it's probably because of the dad. But it's just we don't know
Most
entirely.
likely.
We don't know entirely, but it's just in the scene with the whole like we get Rumi demon form pretty much. Celine was holding a sickle. And of course, she was probably holding that to defend herself. But we thought like, because if she was like the last of the demon hunters of this year, what like holding a sickle, does it like is it symbolic of like taking something out? Because every main singer, they have vocals that go so high that's impossible. It's almost like it's a gift. So it's like, did she like in a way rip something out, or at least holding it as like a remembrance of the past of losing, of like what happened with the Sunlight Sisters, and maybe she's feeling the guilt. So we may not entirely sure. So hopefully, maybe in the next film, we could get a little more to it. But leave a like and subscribe. And sorry for.
I really hope that we do get a chance to like be able to see kind of like a flashback in a sense, or like some kind of like small storytelling of what happened with the Sunlight Sisters. That'd be really, really cool to see.
We helped you out through the time there and watch the episode. So thanks for tuning in. Leave a like, subscribe, share it to your friends.
If you also have Instagram, or you are on Instagram, follow our page, Weirdo X Universe.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.